Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com. Are you trying to tackle everything at Epic Universe within one day? Well, I know that this park can be extremely challenging. It's brand new. There's so many tips and tricks online telling you what to do, what not to do. So today I'm actually going to break down 4 different game plans that you can use for your one day at Epic Universe if you're trying to see and do it all. And what if I told you that the longest wait time that you should actually be worrying about is not Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry, but it's actually a character meet and greet that consistently has over a 90-minute long wait. So if you're trying to figure out the best order to go on the rides, what times do you fit in the shows, and what are some of the best character meet and greets and how to fit them into your day, just be sure to stick around until the end of this video as I'm about to show you how to get the most out of your one day at Epic Universe. As always, I'm very excited, so let's go get started. Thank you again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, I'm about to break down how to tackle your one day at Epic Universe. So here's how I'm breaking things down. Like I said, I'm breaking down 4 potential itineraries that you can use on your one day. This is probably going to be a longer video than normal, but what I would say is 2 of these park plans are going to be taking advantage of early park admission, and then 2 of them are going to be, if you don't have early park admission, you can follow along on those. And so before we even get into the itineraries, here are the most important things that I would say that you need to consider going into your one day at Epic. First and foremost, one of the most important things is be sure that you understand the hours, the park hours. Now, what I would say is I'm going to break down how to really get you on a majority of the heavy hitters. There's going to be, a couple of the park plans aren't going to include every single ride. They might leave out 2 or 3. But what I would say is the most important thing, if you're trying to get everything done at Epic, try to visit on a date or a day that they are open until 10 o'clock at night. And I would say you're really going to have no issues getting on absolutely everything, even if you have some hiccups within your day. If the park is closing at 8 o'clock at night, it might be tough to see and do absolutely everything. And I'm talking about the 2 shows, character meet and greets. But there might be like 2 rides or 3 rides that you aren't even, worried about going on. So that's why I'm really creating these plans that get you on all of the heavy hitters. But if the park's open till 10 o'clock at night, you should get on everything, especially if you follow what I'm about to break down. Another important one is when is the slowest time to visit Epic Universe if you're trying to, kind of game the system. Right now, based off of the statistics and the data that we're looking at, Sunday looks like it's the slowest day at Epic Universe. And like I said, I'm also about to break down, 2 of these 4 park plans are going to be taking advantage of early park admission. But what I would say is make sure that you understand and you're checking as, close to your trip as possible to understand exactly which rides are open for early park admission because they can change. Another really important one is if you're traveling from a Universal Orlando hotel and you're trying to get over to Epic as early as possible, Universal is stating that the buses are running an hour before early park admission starts. So that's typically around 8 a.m. But what I found on my most recent trip, we stayed at Endless Summer Dockside, the buses actually picked us up at 7:45. So keep that in mind. Over to the next tip. I've said this so many times, but make sure you download the Universal Orlando app. It will give you real-time wait times and show schedules that you'll want to understand once you get down to Universal as you kind of jump into your day. And these itineraries are really what I would suggest based off of what I'm looking at, the wait times that I'm looking at. But of course, this is your vacation. Make sure you come up with your must-do list and the rides that you possibly have no problem skipping so that you can really come up with your own park plan to make sure you hit everything that's most important for you. And last but not least, if you've been doing your research online, you know that a lot of the rides at Epic Universe are outdoors. So if you have a multi-day ticket and you can maybe move some stuff around, if the one day is is going to be a washout, be sure to keep an eye on the weather as we want to make sure you get the most out of your day. But enough with the tips and tricks. I'll probably give you a couple more at the end of this video. Let's jump into my potential park plans. Okay, in a number 1, and this park plan is going to have you taking advantage of early park admission. And if you watch my video on early park admission at Epic Universe, you know that I said this was my balanced morning, right? Where essentially what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to get you on 2 of the most popular rides, and then we're also going to have you go over to that very popular character meet and greet that I spoke about earlier in this video because it does have one of the longest wait times in the park. And I'm not just talking about meet and greets. I mean, out of rides, everything, it has one of the longest wait times. So for this park plan, we're going to call it Park Plan A, and we're going to have you start your day in Dark Universe. And so you see my tip and trick here is I've said this many times, but if you're taking advantage of early park admission, I still and I always recommend to get there as early as possible. So if early park admission starts at 9 o'clock, you can technically start to line up an hour before that starts. I would still do that. For this park plan, I would start your day and I would go straight to Curse of the Werewolf at 9 a.m. As soon as you get off Curse of the Werewolf, you're going to go straight over to Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein Experiment. And I've seen many people talk about how they don't recommend to do this for early park admission because these rides are pretty much a walk on later in the day. Just from my own personal experience, I would say Monsters Unchained, yes, the average wait time for all of 2025 has been, around that 20 to 25 minutes. But if you plan to come back to Dark Universe right in the middle of the afternoon, my honest opinion is that you could potentially end up waiting around 30 to 45 minutes for this ride, and then you're definitely going to wait around 45 to 60 minutes for Curse of the Werewolf. And I kind of, like I said, I kind of just feel like these two are the safest bets. And when you're talking about early park admission, you want to get a lot out of your day. Now, moving over to the next thing you're going to do, and we spoke about the meet and greet. The reveal is finally here. It is the Hiccups meet and greet in How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. So this is where you can meet the dragon Hiccup, and it is really popular. I mean, when my wife went to do this meet and greet for the first time, she cried. So I could just imagine if you have kids that love the characters and grew up on these movies. So here, what you're most likely going to have to do is you're probably going to have to wait about 10 to 15 minutes for Isla Burke to open up during regular park hours, which should be around 10 a.m. And I'm projecting you're still going to wait probably between 20 to 30 minutes at that point in time. But once you're done, it should be around 10:30, and just like that, you got three major things out of the way within the first hour and a half. So you are moving along. So next, what I'm going to have you do is stay in Isla Burke, and you're going to go over to Hiccup's Wing Gliders, which should have around the 65-minute wait. And then from here, you can do two things. You can either go onto Fire Drill or you can go to Dragon Racers Rally. And so again, this is my balanced plan. So the reason why I'm saying it's going to be around 11 o'clock at this point, reason why I'm saying do one or the other is at 12:30, I want to make sure that you get to go and do the Untrainable Dragon show. And then once you're done with this show, now it's time for lunch. So for lunch, you can really do it from anywhere. Where I'm going to have you kind of jump over to next is going to be within Celestial Park. So I would recommend you can do Pizza Moon or any of the other restaurants within Celestial Park. You can stay in Isle of Berk and you can kind of, go to any of the restaurants within there. Doesn't matter, go wherever your heart desires. The most important thing is around 2 p.m. you are going over to Stardust Racers to go knock that ride out. And so I have this around the 45-minute wait. And once you're off of Stardust Racers, you're going to go over to Constellation Carousel. And then finally, once you're off of Constellation Carousel, you'll probably have some time here. The most important thing is I want you to be in Harry Potter and the Ministry of Magic to try to grab the Le Cirque Arcanouche show. And so the show time here is you're aiming for really 3:30, I would say, to 4 o'clock. And then once you're done with this show, you are going to go and wait at Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. And up until this point, this is definitely going to be the longest wait of your day. And I'm projecting around a 2 hour wait at this point in time. But once you're done with this ride, you can go and you can have dinner. You could stay within Harry Potter and the Ministry of Magic, or I'm going to have you head over to Super Nintendo World after dinner. So keep that in mind, but you can really go and hit whatever restaurant you like. Most important thing is we have you over to Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge for around 8 p.m. And you could see my strategy here is really to try to kind of swerve the Super Nintendo World until later in the night when wait times start to pull back a little bit. You're still probably going to wait around 60 minutes here. And then once you get off this ride, you're going to head right over to Minecart Madness, and you're still going to potentially wait around 60 minutes here. Now, you could see this park plan is really going until 10 o'clock at night. Now, once you get off of Minecart Madness, you can go on Yoshi's Adventure. You could try to head back over to Isle of Berk for, if you either did Fire Drill, you could do Dragon Racers Rally or vice versa, or you can just take some time to enjoy this park at night because it is beautiful. So what are some of the pros here? Who would love this plan? So like I said earlier in the video, you want to try to do as many of the outdoor rides as early as possible before the rain could potentially, kind of damper your day. So the reason why I like this plan is 4 of the first 5 rides are outside, and that includes the meet and greet. Moving over to the next pro, I've said it a couple times, but it is a very balanced plan. It gets you on a bunch of rides, it gets you to do the 2 shows, some meet and greets here and there. It really is a well-rounded, park plan for families that might have kids of all different ages. But what are some of the cons? Well, like I said, you do need the park to be open till 10 o'clock at night for this plan to work. And what I would say too is if you like this plan enough, but you want to pivot some stuff, I mean, what you could do is you could potentially punt one of the shows. So you can, skip La Cirque Arcanouche, or you can even skip the Constellation Carousel right in the middle there to get some extra time to maybe do some spells with your wands, or you can even hop over to Super Nintendo World a little bit earlier to do some stuff with the power-up bands. And so you'll see here, moving over to number two, so we're going to call this park plan number two. If you are a little bit more ride heavy, you can just easily pivot some stuff around and you can get through a lot of the rides using this plan. Now, again, we are going to be taking advantage of early park admission for this park plan B. And at 9 a.m., we have you starting off with Stardust Racer. So you're starting off hot, right? But then after that, we have you going over to Curse of the Werewolf within Dark Universe. And I'm still projecting Curse of the Werewolf to be around the 20 to 25-minute wait at this point in time. And then after you're off of that, we're going to have you go straight over to Monsters Unchained, which should probably be around, 15-minute wait, hopefully. So as you can see, if you hit all of these rides back to back to back, it probably will be earlier than 10:30. And again, you've gotten through three major rides within the first hour and a half, which is a slam dunk. This is a ride heavy park plan. So from here, we have you heading over to Isle of Berk, and we're going to have you go and do Hiccup's Wing Gliders, which will probably be around the 50-minute wait at this point in time. Then once you're off of that, you're going to hit Fire Drill, which will probably be around the 40-minute wait. And then right after that, it will be Dragon Racers Rally, which will probably be around the 45-minute wait. And that should realistically, with breaks and some grabbing some snacks and stuff like that, by the time you're done with Dragon Racers Rally, realistically, it probably will be around 1:30 already. But you can see at 1:30, you've already gotten 6 out of the 11 rides out of the way. So you're halfway there. So for lunch, again, 1:30, do whatever your heart desires. I'm going to have you stay within Celestial Park right after lunch, and that's going to be kicking off around 2:30. So 2:30, we're going to have you go on the Constellation Carousel. And then as soon as you're off the Constellation Carousel, we're going to have you head over to Harry Potter and the Ministry of Magic, and you're going to go to Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. It's going to be the same thing. This is your longest wait to this point in time, and you have around the 2-hour wait. Okay, so after you're off this ride, here's what I would say. If the park is open till 10 o'clock, you can essentially cast some spells, you can go have dinner, you can go use your power bands in Super Nintendo World. If the park is not open until 10 o'clock, then you pretty much, I would say, just want to jump right in and continue on with these rides. Grab a bite to eat on the go, but this is going to try to get you done with everything by 8 o'clock. So after Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry, it should probably be around 5:15. We're going to have you head over to Super Nintendo World, and you're going to go on Yoshi's Adventure. And then very similar to the other night, once you're off of Yoshi's Adventure, we're going to have you go over to Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. We're still projecting at 5:30 to be around an 80 to 90-minute wait. So definitely, this is going to be a long wait. And then as soon as you're off of that, it could be around 7:30, and you're going to go straight to Minecart Madness. But just like that, you are on that last ride before 8 o'clock at night. And like I said, if the park is open till 10, you could see this is a lot more manageable if you do skip the shows and those popular meet and greets. All right, so what are the pros and the cons with this park plan? Well, of course, the pros are that it gets you on all of the rides before 8 p.m. It is very ride heavy, and I think even with, some hiccups here and there, no pun intended, to the meet and greet, you should still be able to get everything done. And just like the other one, we do have 4 of the 5 rides are outside to get them out of the way as early in the morning as possible. But over to the con side, I mean, as you can see, this is a jam-packed day. There really wasn't much time off your feet. You pretty much had to punt dinner, right? And you just had to grab some quick stuff on the go. That's probably not going to work for everyone, and I know that. And that's why hopefully the park is open, until 10 p.m. And if you are just kind of ride heavy and the park's open till 10 p.m., you'll have some extra time to really double down and go on some of your favorite rides again, hopefully. Okay, moving over to Park Plan C. And for Park Plan C, this is going to work even if you don't have early park admission. The important thing that I would state is right now, the way Universal is kind of running early park admission is even if you don't have it, they're still allowing you to show up to Epic Universe and to get into the park. Now, you can't go and if you don't have early park admission, you can't go on the rides that are included with early park admission. And if you're trying to learn more about early park admission, I would definitely be sure to go and check out the video I did on early park admission. I actually just released it a couple weeks ago. And of course, at this point in time, I am just going to say, if you are enjoying this video to this point, and it seems like you want more videos like this, just be sure to hit that subscribe button, as I have a lot more Epic Universe content coming out in the coming weeks to make sure you are as prepared as possible. But the way Universal is breaking down, and they're allowing guests into the park even if you don't have early park admission. Now, what we've been seeing is actually the most popular ride, which is Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. Universal might open up this ride before 10 a.m., which is the official park opening. So even if you don't have early park admission, if you show up early, you might be able to get on Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry, before 10 a.m. For this park plan, though, I am just going to assume that it's opening up at 10 a.m. But what I would say is I am expecting you to be at this park as early as possible and some of the first guests in line for Battle at the Ministry to try to get this out of the way as quickly as possible. But that's where we're starting. We're starting this park plan where you're going to show up at 9 a.m. Even if you have early park admission, you can do the same thing. You could show up at 9 a.m. You can hope that they let you on Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. If not, you're just waiting till 10 a.m. and then this is the first ride you're getting out of the way. Now, I'm projecting just to be conservative and make sure that you have a realistic, like worst case scenario, I'm projecting around a 60-minute wait here. And so once you're off this ride, we're going to have you head over to Stardust Racers. It's probably going to be around 11 a.m. and we're projecting around the 45-minute wait at that point in time. And once you're off Stardust Racers, like my last park plan, we have you going straight over to Curse of the Werewolf, and then you're going to hit Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment back to back in Dark Universe. Now around this point in time, it's probably going to be 1:30, so it's your time for lunch. And as you can see, we only got 4 out of 6 rides out, which is different from my early park admission video. But again, Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry is the most popular ride, and we're being conservative here. But at 1:30, if you did get that ride out of the way, I still think you pretty much, you have a solid chance to get everything done. So after lunch, it's going to be around 2:30, and we have you going over to Hiccup's Wing Gliders. This is probably going to be between a 50 to 70-minute wait at 2:30 in the afternoon. And then once you're off of that, here we're saying again, Fire Drill or Dragon Racers Rally at 3:30, and either one of those rides is probably going to be 45 to 50 minutes. And once you're off those, we are going to have you try to grab the last Untrainable Dragon show. Keep an eye out though, because the shows don't go all night. So this might be the last opportunity within the day to see this show. If you feel like it's going to be a little bit earlier, you can easily just swap. You can do the Untrainable Dragon, around 3:30 whenever you're off of Hiccups, and then you can just do Fire Drill or Dragon Racers right after the show. Okay, once you're done with the Untrainable Dragon show, we have you heading over to Super Nintendo World, and you're going to do Donkey Kong Minecart Madness at 5 p.m., and we're projecting an 80-minute wait at this point in time. And then after that, we have you doing Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, which is going to be a 75-minute wait. Okay, so once you're off of that, you'll see you're probably going to be close to 8 o'clock. So if the park is closing for 8 o'clock, maybe you can get Yoshi's Adventure in right before the park closes, which would be a plus. If not, you could try to grab a quick bite to eat. And if the park is open till 10 o'clock, then you can pretty much, you have, a couple hours, 2 hours to go and run free. Okay, so what are some of the pros with this park plan? Well, the pros is everyone gets to do a little bit of everything, right? This is another one of the heavy hitters where you're starting out with Harry Potter, and if you're a Harry Potter fan, you might need to start out with Harry Potter to make sure that if that ride goes down early in the morning, hey, you can come back and you could try to get on a little bit later at night. I get it. That's why there's no, park plan, one set plan for everyone. Everyone has different priorities. I understand that. I feel like this one also does get you on, you get the show in the middle of the day. So you kind of try to balance it out a little bit, and maybe you can get some meet and greets in here and there. But on the flip side, some of the cons with this park plan is, well, to start, you're leaving a lot of the outdoor rides for the middle of the day. And also, like I said, if Harry Potter went down and let's say you did have early park admission and they didn't open it early, well, you kind of just wasted your early park admission. It also doesn't include all of the rides, like I said. And again, because you're started and you missed early park admission or you waited for Harry Potter, if they don't open it early, you do miss out on, Le Cirque Arcanus, and you also didn't get a chance to meet Hiccup. But over to my next plan, if the park is open till 10 a.m., here's a possible option that you can use. Like I said, even for early park admission, not early park admission, here's a possible park plan starting with Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry. So same thing, we're projecting and we're estimating that Universal will just let you in on time at 10 a.m. So you're going to go straight over to Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry, which should have around the 60-minute wait. And then we're running through the same way. We're going from Harry Potter over to Stardust Racers, from Stardust Racers over to Curse of the Werewolf, from Curse of the Werewolf over to Monsters Unchained, and we're projected to have a lunch break around 1:30. Coming out of this break, I have you going to see the Untrainable show a little bit earlier at 2:30. And then once you're done with the show, you're going to stay in Isle of Berk and you're going to do Hiccup's Wing Gliders. Again, should be between 50 to 70 minutes around 3 o'clock. Then we have you going and doing Fire Drill, which should be around the 45 to 50-minute wait. And then we have you sticking and doing Dragon Racers Rally, which should be around the 45 to 50-minute wait. Now, here, because the park is open until 10 p.m. and you're trying to get as much done as possible, what I would say is you can go and you can do Le Cirque Arcanus. Usually the last show time is around 6:25, but I would say be sure, keep an eye on that because you might have to, punt Dragon Racers Rally or fire drill and go straight to Le Cirque Arcanus to make sure you get the show in if it's that important to you. And then once you're done with Le Cirque Arcanus, to make sure you get onto absolutely everything, we're gonna have you go straight over to Constellation Carousel at 7 p.m. Then we have you going straight over to Yoshi's Adventure around 7:30. And then to end the night, we're doing Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge starting around 8 o'clock. Should still be a 65-minute wait like we did last time. And then you have Minecart Madness to end the night, still should be around the 60-minute wait. And then what I would say is I really like this park plan too. I feel like it's balanced. And the hidden gem here is if Universal does allow you onto Harry Potter and the Battle at the Ministry early, you get an extra hour, which is amazing. And you could see you could do so much more with that and hopefully fit in dinner because for this park plan you did have to punt dinner. So what are some of the pros here? Well, just like the last park plan, the pro is everyone can try to do this. Even if you don't have early park admission, you could still wait and line up to see when Universal will open up Battle at the Ministry. But of course, it is important for me to note I can't guarantee that they will open it early. I can't even guarantee that they will still allow, guests without early park admission the coming weeks and months. So always be sure to check and see what Universal is doing in the future. And of course, moving over to the cons, well, just like Park Plan B, this one really is jam packed. Like you don't even have enough time for dinner if my projected wait times are correct, which again might not work for everyone. That is a long day. That is 8 a.m., 9 a.m. in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. Where you're on your feet and running around. However, if you're trying to get everything done, then this could be the best option for you. And hopefully after watching this video, hopefully after I just broke down, my 4 potential plans, you have an idea of how you can create your own and try to get everything done that is most important for you. And that's why I did create this video. And I really hope that you found this video helpful. And if you did, like I said, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel as we have a lot more Universal Orlando videos coming out in the coming weeks. And if you are in the process of planning that Universal Orlando trip, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. We have a bunch of free vacation planning tools. And as a thank you for sticking around all the way till the end of this video, I do have a special promo code you can go use on our website to save an extra $50 off your next Universal Orlando vacation package. And that promo code is going to be Magic50. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again so much for checking out this video. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.